Hello, everyone. It's about 10:40 p.m. on Sunday, the 22nd of March. And unless something particularly, useful comes up in my mind, this may be the last video I do for a while. I've been putting off doing this particular one for a few days now. Um, because what I'm going to speak on is a bit uncomfortable for me, but it might be useful for the conversation and just as a parting thought for now. Thanks to everyone who's been listening for all this time or just supporting from afar. I really appreciate all of you. One of the more useful stories in the last 10 years of politics for me has been Anthony Scaramucci. He's famous for having an incredibly short stint as the White House press secretary during the president's first term, and then kind of had a come to Jesus and found his way back to the light. And one of the interesting things he said that stayed with me is that you have to give the president's voters an off ramp. I think about that a lot, but as important as giving the president's voters an off ramp is maybe giving you, people who feel like me, an on ramp to giving those voters an off ramp. Over the last several years, and especially in the last few weeks, there's been a lot of talk about how the president's voters are part of a cult. And it's one thing to note that something looks like a cult. It's another thing to actually experience a cult. And I've put this thought out of my head for over 20 years, but it seems pertinent now. Once upon a time, I was in a cult. I grew up in a Pentecostal church with Pentecostal Christian values. And when I got to college at the University of Maryland, I felt out of place and just not fitting in and in a really dark place. And I took comfort in a Bible study group. And that Bible study group was connected to something that was calling itself the International Church of Christ at the time. And before I knew it, I was sucked into something that resembled something familiar, but was something quite different. And it started out with a feeling of warm inclusion and familiarity. Here's a space where I understand how things work compared to the scary world of college and dorm life and all these different kinds of people. And I took refuge in that. And in exchange for refuge, I traded away a lot of critical thinking and surrendered a lot of my personal agency and my moral agency to stay part of the group. And in that phase of my life, I did things I'm not proud of. I said things I'm not proud of. And I thought things that I'm not proud of. And it was only when the cult came for my money that the spell began to break. They wanted to have service like every day or every other day, and every service they expected you to tithe. And I'm in college, I have no money. And that began to break the spell. What is going on here? But even after they came for my money and I started to feel myself pushing back, it was still really hard to get out of that organization. And it came down to a very hard conversation with the leader at that time, where he gave me the impression that walking away from the group was walking away from my salvation entirely. And I looked that man in the face and said, that's a chance I'll have to take. And I still carry a form of faith in my heart, but I don't really have much of a use for organized church anymore. I go for weddings, funerals, and maybe baptisms. That's it. It was traumatic. It stays traumatic. It's traumatic to look back on yourself and be mortified by the dark place you were once in and how you behaved while you were in that space. It was incredibly hard walking away, and it's incredibly chastening to know you were ever sucked into something like that. I've really taken a lot of heart and illumination in social media these last months and years. Your voices are all amazing and so informative. Even when I don't literally agree with everything that's said or how it's said, I find it powerful in what it's sharing about the human experience and where we are as Americans with each other. And there's a lot of fear and anger and resentment. And what's interesting about that resentment especially is it's so understandable. We can't just let them slip back into society. There's a lot of Inglorious Bastards mentality where I feel like a number of us would be only happy if we got to carve a swastika onto people's foreheads as a price for readmission. I get it. I love Inglorious Bastards. But if you are really interested in change, it seems worthwhile to give serious consideration to what change looks like and what it requires of us. There are a lot of people who are counting the days and looking forward to the day where the president's time on this earth is over. I've had moments like that, but I'm not honestly looking forward to that. I don't want him martyred in any way, and I don't want him martyred by time. Much more important than the end of the president's life is the complete discreditation of his political ideology. I do not want that left to fight another day. That ideology must be given no quarter. And we have a rare opportunity right now because the president has styled himself as an emperor. And it's very amusing sometimes in a dark way when people who don't know history do things like, try to make themselves an emperor, because emperors typically don't last very long and they're typically deposed by their own people. And narcissists think they're going to beat the system somehow, but the republic is as much for their protection as anyone else's. You don't have to do that. I'm out of here in a little while. What's been interesting with the president is that he signals his weaknesses all the time. He signals what scares him. And as much as he scares so many of us and upsets so many of us, the thing he is most scared of is actually us. It's votes. It's voters. It's why he's working so hard to try to rig the midterms, because he knows there's nothing he can really do if we unite with our voices and our votes. I don't know about you, but I want to smash this thing. I want to smash it so unequivocally it's reduced to atoms, pulverized. And to do that, we need votes. To get votes, we need voters. And to the extent it can be helped, I would respectfully challenge us to open our hearts as much as possible to receiving as many of our neighbors as we can for the cause of taking this nation in a new and better direction and possibly saving the world from destruction. Things are getting out of control really fast. If you care about the country, that's a reason to unite. And even if you just want comeuppance, I can tell you as a former recovering member of a cult that if it is shame you seek, there is no greater delivery vehicle than your grace and your example. Joe Biden used to say, we lead not by examples of our power, but by the power of our example. And that hits me in the heart every time I think about those words, because my life story has been a succession of constant, what I call operating system upgrades, where I see a person who I think is doing better than me, is better than me, and it challenges me to improve. And fundamental to admiring that person enough to want to improve is to be a part of that person's life and to have a chance to witness their example, to have a chance to study what better looks like in action. I'm really appalled whenever I think about my previous operating systems. And if we trust that other human beings are as human as we are, there is a case to be made for faith that even the most disappointing among us, they still have runway to get better and to do better. And as they get better and do better, the shame you want for them will find its way to them. But the grace that you spare for them will save all of us. I understand that's a tall order, and don't think I don't wrestle with angry and frustrated emotions on a regular basis myself. But even now, there's still causes for hope. I was really heartened by the Pennsylvania gas station lady who just called the president worthless, admitted to voting for him 3 times, and just copped to it and said, my bad, I guess I'm an idiot. I loved how she just got right to the point. I felt creative envy because I can't be that succinct. Y'all know me, I love to talk. But in that moment, I felt peace. She gets it. I don't need her scalp. I don't need anything else from her. Let's go on and fix this. And so I don't feel the need to be up here all the time. There's only so many hours in the day, and a lot of things, seeking my attention. And there's a lot of good voices up here doing good work. And I appreciate all of you so much. So that's just it for me. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Happy spring. We made it.